it's conjunct his ascendant, so he certainly has the Libra style. His personality, his image comes out as pleasant and appreciative, and yeah, pleasant. I don't see the Aries moon, but he has the Aries moon opposing it. So I think the Aries moon, he's married, he's solidly fixed married, he's in his relationship, he's been in for a long time. It's rock solid, but I think he has the strong wife, and who kind of the family, the home, the security, creates the needs that one has to react to. And then he has to struggle to pay for it, has to struggle to live up to it, the emotional, the Venus opposing the moon. Oh, there's this too. Oh, there's that more. Oh, there's one more thing to do. Oh God, how can I get it? So how can I ever get the things I want to do? How can I make my choices when there's so many things that have to be done? They cut away the choices. Is there ever enough money to pay for these? This puzzle's there. Okay, so I mean, some of this could be just caught between, he's from Poland, he immigrated to Canada, and so he has the two worlds, and this could be the past. The moon is the past. It's a little more assertive and aggressive, impulsive, and he's also, I think, if I remember correctly, when he would go home to visit, go back to Poland to visit, partying, the family there and the party there, everyone drinks. Everyone has a lot of drinks and partying, and he's a little more health conscious. So that's a good example of having to go back, visit mom and visit family, having to put up with everybody who's saying, here, have a drink, have another drink, have another drink. These things going on. So you can see a bit of the conflict that could come up there. In that view, he has his past that he responds to, but he's built his own world up to. But when is he ever content? What's content? What's appreciative? Who's sensitive to what he likes? That's the haunting side of his Venus. Now, so that's difficult socially, but it's a very strong factor for spiritual things. I don't like what's valuable, what's like inner teachings, so like he values astrology, studies mystical things, and it's questionable whether anybody in the family is into it or not. I don't know. I'm just playing on the opposition, looking at it. But there's puzzles around this. His Mercury is conjunct to Sun within the degree in the first house. That's strong need to act on one's ideas, to be creative, to share Libra, to be listened to be heard, to have good content and good things to say, and to be appreciated for them. So he has good things to say. How much he gets appreciated for it, it's hard to say. It's almost like at home he'd always have the older brother or sister or somebody that's making demands that he has to put his side's not being heard. Maybe that splits between wife and home, but the struggle is more, it's not a struggle. His Mercury conjunct the Sun, that gives a lot of power and energy to the Mercury. Need to express, it empowers it. So as an astrologer, studying astrology, learning astrology, being able to communicate, being able to advise people, to be able to talk to, that would be something that would really reinforce his identity. Although I think he maintains a regular job and doesn't work as the astrologer. I think he's maintained a job, taking care of family, taking care of everything, and has the astrology as his personal interest, along with other things. But I see in this the need to express the Sun Mercury, to write his book, to teach, to talk to people, to consult with people, to advise people. I had to Libra Sun Mercury in the first house of Libra rising, to be able to advise people with their troubles or difficulties and be appreciated for it. Well, that would be hugely rewarding. Okay. The challenge becomes, well, how can I ever get time to do this? So I have to take care of this, I have to take care of that, I have to take care of that. So there's a battle between the needs of the moon and Aries and what he has to do to maintain his lifestyle and how he wants his lifestyle to be. It's just an inner struggle going on here. But the Mercury, it's well after there is an aspect of that Sun Mercury it squares Jupiter and squares Saturn. So it's Jupiter-Saturn. That's a really good conjunction. Like your understanding, your wisdom about responsibility is there. So you usually have responsible understanding. And that responsible understanding can guide Mars and other planets much better than when it's not there. So that's a very positive thing. And it often makes like 20-year cycles of Jupiter-Saturn conjunctions very key in his life. Now, but the Jupiter expands and it creates the opportunities for the Sun and the Mercury, but the Saturn restricts them or delays it. So there's a wait a second. So there's the opportunisticness and there's the caution. I could do this. Oh, but I better be prepared. Oh, wait a second. I don't know how much I want to do. How far? Let's go out of control. So there's a reserve in here, but it's not a blind reserve. It's a very he waits for his mind can wait for his opportunity. Okay, but still, if he understands something deeply, the struggle will be, well, if you understand this, how do you communicate? Do you talk about what you have? Do you talk about what you have to say? Do you express what you really know or not? Or do you keep quiet? I think there's a big thing about being able to ascertain who's worth talking to. Excuse me. Okay, excuse me. So yeah, I put the Mercury to the Sun in the first house as a stronger thing. He's got a book for it. He's got a movie to put. He's got something to put together about his ideas and what he values or believes. He's got all that card and all that drive to express his vision. Like the Aries goes on impulse, that's the moon. But the Libra goes on the idealism. Once you see the idea, then you know what to do. Once you have the relationship in place and you can see what has to be done, it's easy to do things. But why bother if nobody cares? Why act if nobody's there? So he's going to act to me. He's going to do a lot to maintain his relationship. Probably more than, that's hard to say, but probably more than the relationship would do to maintain their side, their half. But the sense of what's his contentment, there's a funny puzzle with that Venus sitting in the 12th house. It's trine Jupiter and Saturn. No, it's only opposed to the moon, family, home, past, being resting content. So there's an inherent struggle between what the family wants and what he wants. The only time I really saw it clearly was when he had to go back home and he came back with the holiday. He had a good time, but it was in a different lifestyle, and he had to drink and drink a lot more, eat a lot more meat and stuff like that he normally would. So that's a good sense of the Venus moon. It's not outer planets; these are inner things that just a personal. What's content, what's not, what's too much, what's too little. Okay, but okay, so the moon is ruled by the Mars, which is in Scorpio. He's going to knows what he's got. I have to do this, I have to make this money, I have to do this. He's going to have a strong sense of his resources and what he has to do for them. And he's going to need to act on it to do things. So doing something to make money, but it's Mars, it's conjunct Neptune. Technically, that's not considered a good aspect. It's not a square opposition, thank goodness, but it's not considered a good aspect. It's a conjunction, but it makes the Mars idealistic, dreamy, fanatical, or gullible. It does things with great expectations. I do this, there's great expectations. I'm going to do this, I'm going to take care of this, I'm going to take care of this. And yet, there's always the needs that come in the moment, demand a lot of time. I have to do this, I have to do this. There's no end to what has to be done. And that takes away from the time to sit back and enjoy and think and contemplate and express or write. So between his actions and his ability to write his ideas out or express himself, there's an inherent struggle within him. Eventually, he's going to write. He's got his books or his teaching or his things to put out. He knows too much. And he really, if he gets encouraged, he gets appreciated for his ideas, you might have to pull it out, but he's still going to he's going to go on it. Like that's his purpose. The Sun. Okay. So Venus is not the way the Mars isn't. The Mars is doing is just a little bit overly dedicated or overly gullible. It can get codependent or get overly expectant with that. But it's a dream. It's not going to create, with Neptune and Scorpio, can create it's it's not not the Venus, not the moon, the fantasies. It's the belief in what you're doing and going for the dream, going for the big scheme, going for like it can be the escape, taking the escape. It can be avoiding confrontations. It can be avoiding trying to do things in a way that avoids big hassles. But here's someone who had to leave the country he grew up in and start over again. And there's the Neptune Mars adventure. What's the great dream? And then you get here and you realize, oh, Canada's the great dream. Oh my goodness. In one way it is, in another way it has its challenges too. Okay. The Jupiter, we talked on the Jupiter Saturn, they're conjunct in Capricorn, like they are right now. Well, Jupiter just went into Capricorn, it's going to join this. Our transits are coming up this way. There's a Jupiter Saturn conjunct in Capricorn in the 4th house. So here's someone who understands the value of security in home and also realizes how it can change on you, like how he had to leave country and change. So I get the point, the idea that he had a dream and the Mars Neptune went on a dream to go for it. Let's go, let's change the country. And then he gets here and then there's a lot of work to do to maintain what you need. You know, and there's a struggle. Yeah, but that understanding, home, family, that understanding of Saturn, Jupiter, that's really useful for an astrologer to advise people what's secure, what's not secure, what do you do, what don't you do, how you can help, are you happy? So this question of, are you appreciated, are you using your talents, are you appreciated? So like, one day I'll write my book, one day I'll do this, one day he's got the dream, and yet what's content, what is it good, what's good enough? How do you get it quality enough? So this puzzle is there. Uranus and Pluto are not conjunct. Uranus and Leo, Pluto's in Virgo, but they're both in the 11th house. No bad aspects. They're not hitting anything in the chart. There's not the sudden shocks from Uranus, not the confrontations from Pluto. They'll come by transits, but they're not there natally, inherently. And as Neptune is not squaring anything, it's just conjunct the Mars. The great expectations. Any one good idea is going to take thousands of hours to live up to. I had an idea 3 years ago. Oh, why don't I try the webinars? 3 years later, we're just finishing a lot of hours of astrology. I'm Libra too. But anyways, so you get an idea, then you have to live up to it. So that's, he either tries to live too much up to it or can feel he's not living up to it enough. But there's a puzzle around the Mars Neptune. Should I, shouldn't I? Will I? I got to. There's the dream. And that dreamy action, that's the Neptune Mars. It's in the 2nd house, around resources, around one's personal values. I got to act on my. So there's a part here that implies moving to be on a mystical level. It's a spiritual factor that moves towards. I want to live more spiritually. I want to do yoga or mysticism. I have these things that back up my ideas, and that's. He's going to accumulate things that he knows all his life, and until he expresses them, and then there might be difficulty who listens to him, whether the family is, whether the partner is in a different side. There's 2 different sides in his world, which is likely. You know, but this is part of the struggle. His motivation is to accomplish something, to be responsible, to not be out of control, to not be out of money, to have stability. That's the Capricorn on the IC with Saturn there. Strong factor. And I need to work to hold this together. He's got that instinctive. This is the practical side. The IC and the MC are tied into the Venus moon. We have all that personal stuff that causes stress.